My name is Ed Brandt, principal here at Hunterdon Central, and welcome. Welcome to a nice in-person kind of first orientation night for parents. This is the class of 2026. Hard to believe. Just a little bit about me real quick. I started here as a math teacher back in 1997. So to see that number kind of is startling to me. I welcome you on behalf of the entire staff here and the whole community. It's a wonderful school. We're looking forward to your children becoming, active parts of it. And one of the things you'll hear and they'll hear from me over the next 4 years is it is their school as well. One of the things that we're not looking to do is and by the way, I said this to the staff. We had new staff orientation this morning as well. So for the new staff members, there's not some prototypical Hunterdon Central student or prototypical Hunterdon Central staff member. You are who you are, and you're coming in here, and we're looking for you to be a part of the school, an active part of the school, and we're looking here to support you along your journey. Just a couple bits and pieces of information for tonight. This presentation is being recorded. It's not live streamed tonight, but it's going to be recorded and reposted online. So if there's anything that you either missed or you go home and you're trying to answer questions about the presentation, you can go back and double check. Your children are, if you brought a student here, they're downstairs on the other side of the building here where we have our gyms and cafeterias with a lot of upper class students and staff members helping out here to kind of serve as a social time for them, but also a little kind of semi-activities fair. One of the, I think, most difficult things also over the last couple of years with the variety of how school was with the pandemic and such was that it was really hard to get students involved into our activities. So it's something that we feel is a great way for students to get involved in something outside of the 8 classes that they're taking here and take a little bit of ownership in the school here. So they're downstairs hopefully taking that first step and meeting some upperclassmen and seeing what we have to offer. We will do that again both tomorrow in the new student orientation, but also throughout the fall. So tonight's not the only night, but I just want to give you a sense also of about how far they are away. They're not too far away. And at the end here, we're going to give them a little green light when we have a few slides left to start working their way up so that you can meet up with them out here in the hallway. Lavatories, if you need to get up for lavatories, you can either go out to the left. On that side of that wall, there's a couple lavatories, and then out and to the right on the right side of the hallway. They're out there too as well, so don't hesitate if need be. Again, my name's Ed Brandt, principal here. Dr. Moore may be stopping up a little bit later on. He's our superintendent, but right now they actually have a board meeting down in our library, in our Instructional Media Center, or IMC. It's a meeting/retreat, so I think they're going to be ending in a little while, and they might be stopping up to say hello and introducing themselves, but we'll see how that goes. Scott Ebner is our vice principal assigned for the class of 2026, and Dr. Danielle Zarowicki is our supervisor of counseling. There are a few of the people who are going to be speaking tonight as well. I show this because it's a fact. It's a current fact. Hunterdon Central, we have a total enrollment of over 2,600 students. In the class of 2026, 547. Now, the 547 is a little smaller than we've had in a while. Little more quaint. But we have a very large campus, so they spread out pretty well throughout it. But I bring that up because it's also having a large school. It's one of the reasons why we have what is called a house team system. Now, I did not raise my children in this district. It was in another district that's actually a little bit larger. They did not have this set up. Everything was alphabetical. I think there's pros and cons, but I think from the student point of view, the house team, having experienced both, I think is an excellent way that we try to make it a little bit smaller of a community for the students. All right. To go through some of the names, they're right here. They're on the website as well. But I mentioned Scott Ebner already. Robin Krug is our house office secretary. The house office is directly across the hall here. So for the next 2 years, she's going to be right here. And in 2 summers from now, when they make the transition from 10th to 11th grade, both she and the whole team, they move down to the other building. All right. They physically swap then with the group that just went down this summer. And anyway, so they are then closer. Most of the 9th and 10th grade classes are in this building, and most of the 11th and 12th grade classes are in the other building. It's not fixed in stone. There's some specialty electives. For example, I use theater arts. Because the auditorium's here, theater arts classes are right on the other side of that wall, so they have good proximity to here. So upperclassmen may be coming up, to those and your children maybe in a couple years. We have 3 grade level counselors, Ms. Kovacs, Ms. Devlin, and Ms. Blake. All 3 veterans here, and just saw a graduation class of 2022 a couple months ago. They packed up, coming up here and getting ready for a new group to help them in the 4-year journey. Debbie Paulson, came this morning for first day orientation here. Experienced, but new here. 9th grade level student assistance counselor, again, part of the team. And Dr. Zarowicki will speak a little bit more about how the whole counseling system works. Jen Nectarline. Ms. Nectarline is our counselor of college and career explorations, and an asset that I believe is fantastic here at this school. She's going to help kind of set the stage of, as a 9th and 10th grader, how to start exploring pathways to different careers, different opportunities after high school. And then in 10th and 11th grade, 11th and 12th grade, they really start focusing on the process of applying for what's next. So they're going to be go-to people. She's going to be a go-to person right there. We also have 4 nurses here. They also are assigned to each grade level team. So Janet Jeans is the grade level nurse. Again, she will follow. We have 2 health offices, one up in this building in this hallway for the 9th and 10th grade, and one down in the other building for the 11th and 12th. The classroom teachers. And I'm going to say this as somebody who didn't do the right thing when my oldest went into high school. And kicking myself because here I am as a high school teacher and administrator at the time. Yes, it's a time where you're letting go a little bit more, all right? Setting them free, even just like tonight. So a lot of you are like, hey, you'll figure it out. Go ahead, get down the hall. All right, little different than in first grade. All right, but this team here that you're going to meet tonight, and also the classroom teachers, still keep contact. Keep that contact throughout. You don't have to hover. You don't have to be a part of everything. However, maintain that contact along the way. And I do the same thing in pushing the teachers as well to maintain contact with you. And you also are part of this team. Again, this 4-year journey is not you showing up tonight saying, all right, thanks, guys, and we invite you back for graduation. All right, you're here along the way. All right, so you're welcome to be a part of it. We expect you to be a part of it. And I say to this staff, too, I do genuinely believe that this school is one of the greatest institutions of this community. And any given day, we have about 3,500 people. It's a little small town, running to help your students get from where they are right now to where they're going to be in 4+ years. But you're definitely a part of it, and proud to be a part of it myself. And again, welcome you both my office, but also our offices and with the classroom teachers along the way. Couple bits of business. All right, we are our own school district, so a lot of the paperwork that you had to complete when you're entering your student in a K-8 district, you have to do again. You don't have to do the full application that you would if you're transferring in, but we still do need health physicals, and that's a statewide thing, actually, regardless of whether you're on district. But the proof of residency, because we are a new district, whatever proof you showed 8+ years ago, if you're entering your students in the kindergarten in the same K-8 districts here, you do need to show proof of residency. 2 pieces, these are examples. I believe there was an email sent home through the school messenger listserv about a month ago. We asked you by the end of September that you have them dropped off. Today, there's boxes right outside this doorway, but any other given day, you don't even have to come totally into the building. There's a little red box outside in the vestibule, so even if you're going by around 4:30 in the afternoon and nobody's here in the office, you can put them in a little red box, and every day the House Office Secretary and the Health Office Secretary check that box. So if you haven't already, that's one of the pieces of documentation here that we need. That information, by the way, is also on the website. Most of all of this, and again, not only is this presentation going to be on there, this PowerPoint will be on there when we're done. And in the top right in the quick links, much of this information is in here. Your child as a 9th grader is also going to get a Chromebook. We're proud to be able to have a one-to-one device computing system here, wireless connection throughout the building and other parts on campus. Tomorrow at orientation, they're going to get their Chromebook. I believe they got credentials for Aspen a while ago. They happen to be the same credentials if they want to check their Gmail for school. And they're going to get that again tomorrow. And part of tomorrow is going to be turning on and making sure that they're able to log on to our school-based system. So they're going to get their Chromebooks. There is a device voucher that's part of to be handed in. That's also on the website if need be, but they will have that tomorrow as they hand them out. So if, for example, if your child can't make it tomorrow, we are going to have time for the students to be able to pick up in the IMC on Wednesday. During the day they can stop in. And if need be, if this week is not good, we'll make sure on the first day of school they get them. I do recommend the insurance. I'm not a salesman for it, but this is their Chromebook. They get to keep it for the next 4 years. They don't have to check it in June and get it back again the following September. So they can put little stickers on it, little Post-it notes, whatever they want on it to make it theirs. All right, it's theirs. We do ask that they hand it back in the end of 4 years. However, it's not like it needs to be refurbished and cleaned for the next group. They can put all the stickers they want on it and anything like that to make it theirs. We also do have, and sometimes depending on the course, some of the programs that are needed for specific courses here are such at a high level that the Chromebook can handle it. You know, we have then desktops and computers for them here on campus. We also, if something happens, they can stop by. They're going to see tomorrow the place where they're going to get their Chromebook is the place also where they can, if they have an issue, they can come by and look for help for it. All right? And they're going to learn a little bit about that along the way. I would recommend, you know, after tonight, over the next week or so, is to kind of surf our website a little bit. For example, take a look at information technologies. That's where you can find all this information on there. They have a new system now, both for students and staff, that started last year, where if they have an issue they need help with, they can enter right in it a ticket, if you would, to get that immediate help. It's the same thing we use here at school, and that's on there. Tomorrow is our 9th grade orientation and our upper class transfer orientation. And Mr. Ebner is going to share a little bit more about the specifics, like, for example, drop-off and pickup for tomorrow. But what you can expect them to do, and basically they're going to do this. They're going to report to their alphabetical homeroom, all right, which is also the first place that they're going to report to on the first day of school next Tuesday. All right, so the good thing is they'll be in the room that they're like, all right, this is where I report to the first day of school. And there's going to be a staff member in there and upper class students. And that group is going to go around, I believe it's 5 stations through the morning. And each station, there's going to be some information. And along the way, they're kind of seeing the layout of the land here. And then they end back at that alphabetical homeroom. So they can be like, all right, next time I'm on campus, this is where I'm reporting. And then after that wraps up, they have about a half an hour or so to then, and they're going to have a paper copy of their schedule handed to them. But they're going to have time then to go and walk the campus, figure out their schedule, map it out. One of the things we point out to them, but also to mention to you, if they take the bus drops them all off in the middle of campus, not out here, all right? So they're going to be entering, from another direction. That'll be pointed out to them tomorrow, but just so you know. If you do a parent drop-off, and the same drop-off that Mr. Ebner is going to point out to you to do tomorrow, we recommend that's the same pattern you do if you're going to be a parent drop-off, pickup throughout the year. So that I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but a couple of the key spots to stop along their way tomorrow are with the IT department and getting their Chromebook. They're going to learn more about activities and athletics and programs to get involved. The last item there, I point out positive behaviors in cyberspace and also in person. A member of Tim Nemeth, who you're going to meet in a little bit, has a member of the prosecutor's office giving them they're getting closer to adulthood now too. So not only behaving as adult, but some of the consequences as they get older can be a little heavier than they realize. And also our anti-bullying coordinator and that team is going to be talking to them tomorrow as well. Again, all this information you can find on our website and will be part of this, posted on the website after this presentation. I'm going to pass it over now to 2 members here of our team, Jesse Spencer and Scott Cohen. They're going to talk a little bit about activities and athletics. I'm done for the night, but again, thank you for your attention, and I'll pass it on to them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brandt. So first of all, I'd just like to welcome you. My name is Jesse Spencer. I am the supervisor of athletics, also involved in student activities. And in just a second, I'll introduce you to our new Dean of Students, Mr. Scott Cohen. But just to let you know, give you a little bit of insight on what we do in the athletics world and clubs and activities. And the first thing that I always like to make sure I hit on is to encourage your students to get involved in something here at Hunterdon Central. We have a ton of opportunities. And I like to use the word opportunities because that's what we try to provide. We try to provide an opportunity for all different types of interests, whether it be athletics, whether it be a club, whether it be music, art, humanities, debate, whatever it is. Whatever their interests are, we have something for them. And if we don't, we will find out how to work with them to get it. Right now, like the slide shows, we have, over 34 varsity sports, not including freshman level, JV level. We also have, over 80, probably over 100 different clubs that we have the opportunity for your students to get involved in. And through these activities, and I like to use the word, especially in athletics and in my world, I use the word educational-based athletics or educational-based opportunities or activities. These are extensions of the classroom. Things that they learn through sports, things that they learn through clubs. They have the ability to interact and socialize, outside of the normal classroom day. And it gives them the ability to enhance their knowledge and enhance their opportunities, whether it be through social, mental, emotional, all different things that we can provide them. So that is something that, I strive to work with our coaches and our teachers and our advisors to try to give those opportunities and make themselves available for your students so that we can make sure that we're including and be as inclusive as possible to give them an opportunity to enhance and do whatever it is that they're set out to do. So that's kind of just a little bit of, my belief on, what we try to do here at Central. As far as our athletics program, we have a very large school. We have a very competitive program. Our fall sports are underway. They started in the middle of August. And, winter sports, if your student is interested in getting involved in either a winter or spring sport, our registration for winter sports is now open. I believe the deadline is around the beginning of October. And that gives us a chance to process the physicals and all of this. If they are interested, please, I encourage you to just go on our website under athletic registration and just take a look and what it all entails, because it is a lengthy process and there is a little bit involved in it if you haven't kind of been in tune with it yet. So I encourage you to do that. I'm also available any time of the day. I check my email probably 400 times a day, and I'm also I'm in the office a lot, so you can always reach out to me, and I'll be happy to help you in any way that I can. And tomorrow we will go through some of those clubs and activities more with the students, just so they can have an idea. But you can also, if you're interested yourself, you can, under our student life, under our website, there's descriptions and lists of all the different clubs that we have. We do update those generally right around the second week of school. So anything that's been added, anything that's been, clubs that have been reestablished, we go through and make sure the descriptions are in line. So if you don't see something that's on there, you can definitely reach out, and we'll be able to direct you in a way that we can get you involved with the advisor or whatever the interest of your students might be. So that's just a little bit of what I do here, and I will now, our new Dean of Students, Mr. Scott Cohen, and I'll turn it over to him. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse. Good evening. I'm going to move a little bit closer. How are you all doing? Doing all right? Excellent. For some of you, I'm sure you've had students already pass through the halls of Central. And for some of you, as I was listening as you're coming in, saying this is the first time I've been in this building, it can be a little bit overwhelming. Yes? A little bit for us as adults. Think about our children coming in here, right? And what they're faced with and all that they're coming in with, right? So student activities, I have to echo everything Jesse just said so elaborately, is that student activities can be a great foray for your children to start feeling a part of something bigger in a very small way. So they can have a connection through the clubs and the students they meet through those clubs, and then expand their wings out as those friends become part of their family and grow it out, where they may not get that level of intimacy in a classroom. So I encourage you, the statistics and the research all shows and points to students that engage in activities are typically more academically successful overall. It can be intimidating. We understand and appreciate that and respect and regard that sacredly. So those of us who are here in the administration, those of us who are involved in student activities, which is one component of the Dean of Students position that I'm in, respect and honor that. And so we're here for your children. If they're feeling overwhelmed, as Jesse spoke about the social, emotional components that so many students are confronted with today, especially after the pandemic, please have them come seek us out. We're all accessible. We may not be able to get to all of them on an individual basis. As the Dean of Students, we've got 2,600 students roughly. I'm not going to see all the students, and that makes it difficult. So just recognize we're here. As Jesse said, email, we're always in there. So look at the activities. It can be overwhelming. There are so many wonderful activities. There's something for everybody who's interested. And as Jesse said, if there isn't something, we'll figure it out and help them get started with clubs. When you go to the website and look through the clubs with your kids, just go slowly through them and read them, because there's a lot that sounds somewhat similar, and they're nuanced, and they may be more beneficial depending upon what the specific description is about. And just have them reach out to the student activity liaison or the advisor that's posted on the website. So thank you, welcome. We welcome your kids. We look forward to working with them. and we're here for them. That's really the takeaway. So reach out to us. That's why we're here. Have a great night, and we're looking forward to seeing your kids tomorrow, especially if they're not here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen, Mr. Spencer. Hi, I'm Scott Ebner. I'm the vice principal for your students. I'm going to be speaking to you here momentarily, but before it is my turn, we're going to introduce our supervisor of counseling, Dr. Zurwicki, and she's going to go over a little bit of our counseling program with you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Good. So, as I said, my name is Danielle Zurwicki. I'm the supervisor of counseling here at Hunterdon Central. And we're really excited to welcome you and your students to school. And I want to talk a little bit about the counseling staff, who's really going to be your main point of contact. You know, they're like the center, the hub of kind of everything through their 4 years. So what does a school counselor do? Pretty much everything. So school counselors, they take data, right? They follow students. They see how they're doing in their classes. They meet one-on-one. They help them plan for college, career, social. They'll do like individual counseling. They'll help you find referrals outside, you know, if you need some additional support for yourself or for your student. And so they're really here to kind of help bridge that gap and help your student find success here at school. So as your time here begins, you know, for the next few days, weeks, schedules got posted last week, there might be questions that you have, whether it's about placements, it's about their classes, it's about tutorials, homework. I encourage you to please go to the grade level counselor for your student. They can help kind of direct you with where to go because, like everyone has been saying, the size of the school can sometimes make it overwhelming with knowing who to go to for what. So the counselor can help you kind of sort and sift through that information. So the other thing that we like families to know is that if there's something going on, if your student is struggling, if there's a family obstacle that you're going through, is to let the counselor know. It doesn't mean that they have to share it with everyone, but if you would like, we do like to share some information with teachers. It's kind of like a heads up, right? Please be aware that there's something going on in this student's life that we would like you to pay special attention to and give them some leeway and flexibility. There's been a lot of changes with students over the past few years, and we want to make sure that you, the counselor, and the teacher all get to work together to help their students succeed. The other thing that we're really, really fortunate to have here at Central, in addition to the grade level counselor, are student assistance counselors. So as everyone said, right, we have one per grade level, so there's one dedicated to the class of 2026 who will follow your students throughout their 4 years. We also have school-based youth services, who's going to be talking a little bit when I'm done as well. And really the message that I want to get across to you is that we're all here to provide a caring and supportive, almost like a family, right, that house system for each and every student. If you need to remember, right, who your student's counselor is, it is available on the website. This is just like a quick little thing of where you can find it. You should also be able to see it on Aspen. You'll kind of see it posted everywhere. It is alphabetical, so just so you know who to go to for support. This slide kind of just gives you an overview of some of the counseling goals that we work with students throughout their 4 years here. And we follow, it's called a developmental approach, where we're trying to meet students with where they are, but also develop plans to get them to that post-secondary goals for whatever that might be. So we know that every student has their own unique skills, talents, their experiences. And my promise to you is that your counselor will work to get to know each and every student to help them develop those skills and find their path. And if those paths change, that's okay. We're also there for that. So as everyone has already said, we want students to get involved. Balance is really important. There's academics, there's athletics, there's activities. We want every student to find that balance wherever it is. It's really important for their overall emotional and mental health well-being, and we hope that this will help them build their self-confidence and develop their own interests and goals for what they want to do in the future. So what can you do? There's a transition here that's happening for every student here, right? It's a new district, a new building, new teachers, new friends. They're changing into adulthood. So that word might scare you a little bit, right? That they're changing into adulthood. But we have to acknowledge the fact that even though 13, 14, 15 years old, they're not technically adults. They're biologically on their way. So we need to help them support them so that they can become independent. And that's really our goal, right? We want them to be able to advocate for themselves and leave here knowing a little bit more about what they can do. And so how can you help? When it comes to parenting, we all have different styles and different approaches. But what I want to encourage you to do is to think about your role almost like a coach or a consultant, letting them know that you're there for them, that you're listening, you're empathizing, staying calm, and not giving answers. And I think that's the hardest part of being a parent, right? They come to you and they want to know, what do I do when this happens? Whether it's a fight with a friend, a breakup, something's happening in a classroom. What I want to encourage you to do is to help guide them to the answer. Help them think through their question, pros and cons of everything that they're going through, and help them develop that independence for that decision making. The other thing to do is to help kind of model what they should be doing. I don't know how anyone else feels, but I feel like the first time I learned how to study was when I went to college. Help them learn how to study. So that could be reaching out to the counselor, right, to work with the teacher. It could be setting aside a quiet place where you are in order to give them that time. Limiting cell phone use when they're doing work. Model how to use a calendar, maybe to-do lists. These are all things that we have learned over time, and they kind of need help learning that too. Something that's really important and is really hard is to let them fail. I know that kind of sounds harsh, but I mean it in a way that failing helps them understand what didn't work the first time around, the second time around. Thomas Edison, his quote is that he failed 1,000 times, right, before making the light bulb. We want to help them build those skills and confidence to persevere through obstacles. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to help your student learn to sit through discomfort. And that's a really hard thing to do. To see your student uncomfortable, we want to jump in and kind of save them and hug them. We want to help them build the skills to work through it on their own. And that takes time, and so we can start that now together. So some things you can do to help them, right, is have structured homework time. Monitor how they're doing, but please try not to do it daily. So if you set some time together to check Aspen, maybe Google Classroom with them, to look through their homework, what are their activities, what assignments do they have, weekly. Weekly is a pretty good goal. Daily almost becomes a little bit too much. So if you can, just set aside that time together and go through it with them. So your student is going to start tomorrow meeting their counselor, but then they're going to spend some time over the next few weeks and months meeting with their counselor individually and in small groups so that they can get to know them. And so one of the things that we do is because counseling really focuses on relationships, personalization, and empowerment. And so what we are going to be asking students to do is to give us some more information about themselves so that their counselor and their teacher can get to know them on an individual basis. And they'll be asked to do this every year throughout their high school career because things about them might change. And we want to make sure that they have at least one adult in this school that they can go to if they need help. So next up, I want to introduce Lynn Gonski from School-Based Youth Services, and she's going to talk a little bit about the additional support that we have for students here.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I work as the coordinator for the School-Based Youth Services Counseling Program here at Central. So we are a team of 4 therapists who work for the medical center down the street, but we come here to Central to provide supportive counseling services for kids. We maintain a presence on campus every day of the week. We have offices in this building, in the 1112 building, and then in the IMC, so we're spread across campus. We are different from the grade level counselors in that we don't do the scheduling, helping kids with which courses to take. We really just focus on emotional issues that are coming up, and we get referrals for the reasons that you would expect. Depression, anxiety, stress, my friends hate me, I hate my friends. It's all the kind of things that you would imagine. Services are at no cost to the family because we are funded by a grant, so there's no cost to you. And we can see kids for as short or as long as the student might need. I mean, we have some kids who come in because, Buffy died, and a couple months later they're on their way. And we have other kids who come in as freshmen with stress, and then there's a divorce, and then there's a breakup. And I have seen many, many kids for all 4 years that they're here. And I guess that's what I have. We do have a table outside with some information and brochures and my card as well. Thank you.
And I owe Dr. Sievers an apology because I misspelled his name. There's 2 R's in Harry. I'm sorry about that. Right now, I'd like to introduce you to Sergeant Tim Nemeth from the Raritan Township Police Department. He's our school resource officer, and he's just going to talk to you a little bit about, what his role is in the building and how we kind of keep the kids safe, the resources we have to keep kids safe while they're here.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Tim Nemeth. I'm a sergeant with Raritan Township Police Department. That is my office number if you want to copy it down. And if you have any questions or concern, you can always give me a call. I am the community policing sergeant for Raritan Township. During the school year, I am permanently stationed here. I have an office here. I'm also joined by 3 Class 3 officers. And for you, those that don't know what a Class 3 officer is, there was legislation passed in 2017 which allowed police officers to come back that retired on good standing, obviously have a interest in working with kids and young adults in the high schools, and they have full police powers during the school day and the school year. So now we've had, I think it's now 3 years maybe that we have had Officer Joyce Hanshaw, Officer Jack Gale, and this year we hired another Class 3 officer, Scott Lessick. So they will all be walking around during the school day and making relationships with everybody. And I always joke with my wife that the Class 3 officers, I also supervise the Class 3 officers in the Flem-Rare district, so I have 8 overall. And I always joke that I finally make sergeant, and I'm in charge of 2 former chiefs, a former captain, 3 former lieutenants, and a sergeant, and a Harry, but he's interesting. But anyway, but as much as I joke about it, they really do have a wealth of knowledge and expertise in this field, and there's so many things that I definitely will run past them and help me with anything that does come up here. As a school resource officer, we will sometimes be in classrooms. There's certain driver's ed, different things that we can use a little bit of our expertise. So we are in there in the classrooms from time to time. We are also mentors. I always tell kids that if they come up to me and they ask me a question, I might not know the question, but I know someone that does know the question. And I also say that the school and all the counselors and there's a tremendous amount of resources here, but sometimes they're looking for something outside of the school. So we're always happy to help in whichever way we can. So that's our main goal, some of the things that we do, but I would say paramount to that, my biggest role and what I hope to do as a parent, as a police officer, is to help your kids, your students, navigate through the high school experience safely, both physical health and and mental health. We're here to help them, and that's our main goal. And from time to time, there will be things that happen that maybe are not just school violations, but they sometimes fall into the realm of law enforcement. But I think we have a great partnership with the school, and I think the other piece in this is you as parents, and don't hesitate to reach out to me if there is an issue, and let's not let things fester. We try to get ahead of them and try to nip in the bud. The one last thing I just want to say, tomorrow when they are doing the new student orientation, the one we would usually be here for this, but with the class 3s, they don't actually start till next week when school starts, and I'm in a training for the next 3 days. But we have one of our assistant prosecutors from Hunterdon County, Tina DeFranco, who is going to be there tomorrow talking about cyber safety, and she's going to get into a little bit of the laws, and I think it would be a good idea because that's probably one of the primary issues that I deal with, especially with freshmen, is just not understanding how serious some of the things are when they get behind the computer, and some of the things that can really go south if they're not being monitored, and just having an understanding of what can be really get some of these kids in trouble. So perhaps just have a conversation and just see what they thought about it. I always think that she does a nice job, and hopefully they get a understanding of that. So am I turning it over to you? Again, my phone number's up here. I also will be here for back to school night. So if you see me walking around back to school night and you have any questions, don't hesitate to stop me and have a conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant Nemeth. So I'm Scott Ebner. I'm the vice principal for the class of 2026. And before we get going, I have to tell you, I just graduated a really, really good class of kids. The class of 2022 was a really good bunch of kids. The class of 2026, to a person, every single counselor that I met with from the sending districts has said, we're really going to miss this bunch. They're such a good group of kids. I am so very much looking forward to working with this group and continuing that kind of trend. And I just can't tell you how excited I am to have them come in, to meet them, to get to know them. Just really looking forward to having them here. A few of them were in over the summer, a little bit here and there. We had some tours that were going on, and almost everyone who spoke to them said, "That's a really polite bunch of kids you have coming in." I hope I'm not setting the bar a little bit too high here. But I'm really excited about the opportunity to work with your kids. So today, for my presentation, these are the few of the things that we're kind of going to go over. The goals we have for the year, both my goals, their goals, and ultimately, not just this year, but all 4 years while they're here. A little bit about our team approach. Why is that so important? Who to talk to? When? Why do you need them? What does a typical school day look like? What's our orientation going to be like? I'm a positive person. I like to look on the bright side of things with your kids, but I am going to be honest about some of the things that could lead them down a path of difficulty. And part of the reason why we had so many folks here today is I wanted to show you all the resources we can bring to bear if we need to help your kids in any given situation, whatever it would happen to be. I didn't want the first time some of you met Sergeant Nemeth to be the time, I had to call you in after a disciplinary issue, and I'm like, oh, and by the way, here's a police officer, all right? I wanted you to have an impression of Tim outside of that, so you can see where we all are, where we're all coming from, and that we're all working, to try to help your kids. We do recognize that they are kids. They are learning, they are growing, they are changing. There's a reason you don't get a permanent record until you're 18, right? So, and then we'll end on a few reminders, and then that'll be that. I'll get you out of here. We're going to call your students back up from downstairs. Like Mr. Brandt said, when there's probably about 2 or 3 slides left, so they'll be able to meet you out there. All right, so my goals for the class of 2026, and hopefully these are some of the goals you have and that they have for themselves. I'd like them to gain the tools to be decent people in addition to being good students, right? Not everybody's going to be a great student. Kids that I graduated who I saw at the football game on Friday, some of them confessed to me, school wasn't really my thing. And that's fine. School doesn't have to be your thing, okay? You don't have to knock it out of the park academically. For some people, just getting through is a victory. Nobody's business, right? And that's kind of what we're focusing on with them. Letting them be good people, right? Teaching them ways to be good people. If they want to learn how, we've got this whole team approach to help them be good people, all right? In addition to being good students, if that's what they want to do. We would hope they all want to do that. But mistakes are learning opportunities, right? Like Dr. Zurwicki said, sometimes they have to fail. Fail's the worst four-letter word that you can find in a school, right? Nobody likes to fail. Nobody likes to fail. But think about the times that you failed in your lives. And if you did own that, what did you come out of that with? How much stronger were you for having done that? Now, yeah, you're going to need support to help pick you up when that happens. But there's really nothing wrong with failing as long as you don't do it, the same failure multiple times over. You got to learn from it. Demonstrating compassion for others. One of the rules I like to live by back when I was a classroom teacher, I used to tell my students this. You should try to be a nice person. Be nice. There's no reason why you can't be nice. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you can't be nice, maybe you should be quiet, right? And if there's a problem, if there's an issue, you got a team. Again, I'm going to keep coming back to this team idea. You got a team that you can come and you can tell people about what difficulty you happen to be having, all right? Most of the issues I ran into with my last class when they were freshmen were the kids felt they could handle their problems themselves. Admirable? Inaccurate. I would like them to try. The first step is always for them to try and stick up for themselves, right? Please stop doing that. Please don't say those things. That really bothers me. This is how that makes me feel. Please don't do that, okay? And then when you've tried, you've given that person an opportunity. If they persist in that behavior, okay, you gave it your best shot. Come talk to us, right? And then hopefully through those discussions, before they become disciplinary issues, we're able to help with this idea of creating compassionate people. And lastly, be kind and be patient. And that goes for all of us, right? We're dealing with kids that are 14 years old. I mean, they're kids. They're little. I've seen some of them. They're little, right? We all have to be patient. And they have to be patient with themselves and with each other, right? They can't come in here thinking that maybe they will set the world on fire. That'd be great. But not everybody's going to do that as a freshman. The other day when I was graduating my class, I had to go through all of my paperwork and throw it all out, right? And I saw the pictures of the kids from when they were freshmen. My goodness, the changes that are going to happen over the next 4 years. So for right now, they just need to be patient with themselves. And we need to be patient with them too. So year one, for a lot of the kids, they were in tiny sending districts. And now they're coming to big Hunterdon Central, right? This is kind of a chance for a bit of a fresh start for some of them, right? It's a fresh start for there's going to be a lot of kids who've never met your children before, right? This is a chance to sort of let go of what they were if there are things that bothered them and allow them to sort of craft a new identity. And we're here to help them along the way in that path. What do your kids want to do? It's a big school. The house team is an idea to make it a small school. Right? You saw we have like 550 kids in this class, right? I'm their principal. I'm the person that's going to be sending them their communications. I'm the person that's going to be talking to them for the 4 years. Mr. Brandt is the building principal, right? Mr. Brandt handles things on a macro level. I'm the one that's going to be in there with them all the time. Their counselors are going to be with them for all 4 years. We take a big school and we make it a small school. That's the very idea of all this, right? We're the point people for your kids as they make their way through this whole system. One of the things that you've heard us say a lot is to get involved. We have all the clubs, the activities, the sports. We have the social that's going on tonight downstairs. One of the big reasons, not just for the kids' own involvement, is a connection to the school, right? I'm the school safety specialist here. That means I get to go out to a lot of trainings on a lot of the bad things that happen at schools. One of the things that is ubiquitous in all of the trainings that they tell us is that the people who come to schools and tend to do bad things to schools felt no connections whatsoever. They were disconnected completely from their school. We're striving to find ways to help us connect with your kids, right? Not just for their own success while they're here, right? But also from just a larger safety perspective, to give them that connection, that one thing or that item that they can just latch on to, you know, that they can say, that's mine, that's what I like, right? And believe it or not, again, from a safety perspective, 99 times out of 100, that's what helps keep places safe, is that connection. If you're noticing signs that you feel like your kid is withdrawing or feeling a little bit more disconnected, please reach out to us, okay? And that could be about anything that's going on. I want you to know, your problem might seem massive to you, and it's huge, right? I've been in this job for 4 years. I've seen massive problems, okay? I'm not judging anybody for what they bring to the table for me. I'm looking for how to help your children. You've seen all the resources we have. You let me know what's going on at home. You communicate with me what's going on at home and the struggles that you're potentially having. I'll find a way to help your students while they're here. That's what the house team brings to this environment. Just a little plug, if your student happens to have leadership aspirations, we are going to hold class council elections. You met my 2 class council advisors out there if you stopped over at our reusable bag sale. That's Ms. Kelly and Mr. Maldonado, and we're going to hold class council elections probably around the time of the actual election, maybe in November, so we'll give more information about that. But if they're interested, you know, maybe something to talk with them about. Lastly, again, working on their character and the type of people that they are, their integrity. If we are going to help them solve their problems, lying doesn't help any of us, right? They need to be honest with us. You guys need to be honest with us too. Again, there's no judgment. I just want to help. That's really what I want to do, okay? Communication from the house office team. All right, so these are the folks who are going to reach out to you at various times. Mrs. Krug is my house office secretary, all right? She's your main contact for all the general items. She's the person that you're going to call about attendance and things like that, okay? You're going to get to know Robin really, really well. Robin's a very, very good person, and I like working with Robin a ton, all right? She is going to be a very, very important person for you guys as your kids navigate through the next 4 years. I am the team leader, so I bring, basically we have team meetings, I think, like every 2 weeks as they're freshmen. We'll meet with all the counselors, the student assistance counselor, the nurse, the secretary. We'll all get together and we'll all talk about your kids, right? Which sounds awful, probably. A bunch of people get together and talk about your kids. But again, the way we're looking at it is, how are they doing? What's going on? Is there anybody we need to now suddenly like meet with and talk to, right? Did anybody get information that maybe they haven't shared yet with the rest of the team? Because we want to make sure we're all aware of what your kids need so that we can help them at any given moment. I'm the person that's in charge of the team, right, as it relates to how they deal with your kids. Ultimately, if you have a question and you don't know where to go, you can email me. You can call me. I'm the person that'll be able to either answer your question or direct you where to go to get an answer to your question, okay? Your counselors, they'll help you with planning your schedule. They can help you with the 4-year planning. You know, if you have any kids that are interested in Polytech or anything like that, it might seem early to start talking about that, but they have to really start now because in their junior and senior years, they're going to be out of the building for half the day, which means they got to get all their schedule, all their coursework done now so that they can be successful at Polytech. So if you have any kids that are thinking along those lines, like, we're already thinking down those lines for your students. If you have questions in the classroom, always start with the teacher, please. It opens a great line of communication if you start with the instructor. I know that you really want to sometimes jump and go right to me, or you want to go right to their supervisor because that teacher did something that really hurt your kid or something like that. Believe me, I've got 3 kids of my own. I know the feeling. Start with the teacher, please. If you don't get satisfaction from that communication, then you can start jumping, okay? So we start there with the teacher. The next step up is the academic supervisors, ultimately the vice principal, me, okay? You can go to our website. There's a ton of information on our website for school events. Our calendar's right there on the landing page. Miss Tucker is going to send you school messengers. If you ever get an email from Nancy Tucker, open it, okay? Don't ignore it. Check your spam. Check your spam if you go home tonight. Check your spam for any emails from Nancy Tucker, and then move that to your inbox so that it doesn't get sent to spam in the future. she is going to be sending out a lot of communications, okay? And it is a lot of communications. But open them up, read them. Even if it's on the preview pane, like pull it all the way open so that you read it, because otherwise it kind of marks it as read, and then when you come to us, you're like, I never got that. We say, well, it says you read it. It could be because it was on the preview pane. You didn't. Just look at all your emails from Ms. Tucker, okay? Periodically do a search in your spam. Tucker, just go for it. On our website, in the upper right-hand corner on our landing page, there's a quick link section. When you click on that, if you click on new students, that's where you'll find a lot of the information for freshman year, okay? So that's going to be a vital resource for you guys. Very first day of school, day 1, September 6th, Tuesday. Our recommendations, get them up early. Also, honestly, put them on the bus. There are 470 new student drivers trying to come to this campus all at once. In addition to 300 staff members, in addition to 80 buses, they're all coming in to 2 entrances. You ever drive around town and get stuck at about, 720 or so, somewhere around Junction Road area? That's why. If you're trying to get your student here by driving them here, they're going to be late. And after they're late 4 times, they're going to be sitting in my office. And I'm going to be discussing with them why they're late. And they're going to be like, my parents get me here late. And then I'm going to call you. And I'm going to say, your child told me that you're dropping them off late? And then you're going to tell me it's because of traffic and all that sort of stuff. We can get rid of all of that. Just put them on the bus. Now, the thing about the bus, it's early. Depending on how far away you live, it's real early, right? Get them used to it. That way when they're seniors and they can drive, that feels like a big reward, right? So, for your sake, put them on the bus. This is what I'm going to tell you. And if they're giving you a hard time, be like, your vice principal said you had to, right? I have to put you on the bus. That's what he said. Classes start at 7:35 a.m. That's when the bell rings, right? If your kid rolls in at 7:35 in 1 second and that teacher says, go to the house office and get a pass, they're late. Lates do accumulate as absences, too. We're going to talk about absences in a little bit. They get 3 lates. That counts as an absence. That counts towards loss of credit. Put them on the bus. Alpha homeroom is the first day. If you go out here when you leave, you'll see a couple of red signs with a bunch of room lists on them. Those are your kids' alpha homeroom assignments because we're using them tomorrow, okay? That's where your kids are going to go tomorrow when they come in as well. You can take a look at that, so that way you can tell them this is your alpha homeroom. This is where you're going day 1. This is where you're going tomorrow, okay? So take a look at those. There's one on the left-hand side and one on the right-hand side as you're going out the door. Alpha homeroom will have an extended block 1. It says extended day 1. We'll have an extended block 1 because of alpha homeroom. This is the first day only. The day will start at 7:35 a.m., and your kids will see this tomorrow at orientation as well. Lunch happens after block 2. We have a unit lunch. If you've had kids come through here before, you may be familiar with unit lunch. I'll talk you through unit lunch in a minute. Don't worry. Dismissal. We're going to be letting the kids out around 1:50 for the first 2 days so that they can find where their buses line up. Again, 80 buses, all lined up in different spots. We give them 15 extra minutes on the first 2 days to figure out where their buses are, right? After that, I mean, we got a bunch of people out there. It's not like it's just everybody like runs out and that's all they got. There's a bunch of people with radios. I'm out there. We have our DRAs. Everybody's in nice bright red shirts, which I made them wear, and they were not happy with me about that. Nobody likes the red shirts, but makes them very visible. Tell your kids if they don't know where their bus is to ask, okay? Now, the one thing that will help us is if your kids know their bus number. You should have gotten a letter from our transportation folks, okay? Have your kids take a picture of that and have it on their phone. It's the easiest way for us to help them. We're going to look for bus number, and then we're going to tell them where to go. Question? We have one crossing guard at one spot. It's over by our Commons lot, so it's down off Junction Road as you're coming across from Costco by that lot. That is the one crossing guard that we have. So out on 31, if they're coming across 31 there, that's just the lights. It's the, say that again? The Walmart area? Yeah, I think if they come over through Costco and over down by Costco and then that area right there from Junction Road, they'll be able to cross at a crossing guard. We do have a lot of trouble with kids trying to jaywalk and cross where there isn't a crossing guard. Please tell them to come to the crosswalk. Again, 470 brand new student drivers. Tell your kids to come to the crosswalk, please. After the first 2 days of school, like I said, they'll be dismissed at 2:03, and then they'll be expected to go and find their bus. If you are going to pick your child up early, here's what we need from you. We need a note, all right, that has to come in to Robin, to Mrs. Krug. We need a note from you, okay? It can be via email. We prefer a handwritten signed note, all right? She's going to give your kid a pass. They're going to carry that around with them, okay? Then when the time comes for them to leave, they go and they hand that to the people out front, and then they can go to you. Right, you're going to have to come in to get them and say that you're here to pick up that kind of thing, okay? So we need a note to let them go, all right? We need it handwritten. We'll take an email. We cannot accept a call. We want something in writing. So you might call and say, I would like to come pick up my child. Okay, that's great. You can do that. But could you please send us an email to let us know we're allowed to let your kid out of the building, right? Now, are we going to keep your kid here? Like, they're your kid, obviously. Eventually, we'll sort this out, and we'll be able to hand your kid back to you. But for documentation purposes, please, in writing, let us know you want your kid early. If your child would like to take a friend's bus home, we kind of discourage this. We don't really want this to happen, but sometimes we recognize it may be necessary. Every once in a while, we need 2 notes, one from each parent indicating that they're aware of this situation, okay, and that's what's going on, signed by you as well. Also, one side note about Mrs. Krug, she used to work in a bank. Robin loves looking at signatures. If your kids forge a signature, that's like a day at Disney World for Robin. Tell them not to forge the signatures. The bus information will be in Aspen in addition to the mail. As I said, you should have gotten it in the mail. Have them take a picture of it so they have that, okay, and they can easily access that if they need help. Day 2, September 7th. Would they go to their Block 1 class? They won't go to Alpha Homeroom that day. They'll go to their Block 1B class on that day. So when you look at their schedule in Aspen, Block 1B, the one in the second column there, that's the one they're going to go to, okay? They'll be in Block 1 for an extended period of time because they're going to watch a safety video with me on it because I'm the safety specialist that goes through all of our safety protocols with them, all right? And our security procedures and all that sort of stuff. By the time we get to day 3, September 8th, they're ready to go. It's a regular day. Okay, they come in, they go to their Block 1A class, and then they'll follow their regular schedule. All right, so the first 2 days are a little bit weird from a scheduling perspective, and then they go into the third day, and they're ready to go. Lunch. We are going back to unit lunch. All right, the COVID protocols are over. That was why we had our 2 lunch periods, right, to have fewer folks in the lunchroom and all that sort of stuff because we needed distance and that kind of thing. With a return to normal, back to basics, as it were, we're going back to our unit lunch. That means the entirety of the building will eat lunch all at the same time. It is a 46-minute lunch period from 10:29 until 11:15 a.m. All 2,000 kids plus 300 staff members are all eating all at once. Okay? We do have 4 cafeterias here on this campus for them to eat in. I will be honest, there is probably not enough space for them to all fit in a cafeteria, okay? We do have other areas available that they can eat. The gyms are available here as well. Those are available for shooting baskets and playing volleyball as well. They have to eat on the side in the bleachers and things like that, and then that gets cleaned up. We have our IMC, our redone IMC as an eating area in it, the breezeway outside of the IMC. There's a courtyard downstairs that your students saw as they were walking today down to get to the social. They're allowed to eat outside as long as the weather is nice, and they're allowed to go out to our stadium and eat in our stadium at Stewart Field. So they're allowed to go out and eat out there, again, as long as the weather's nice. Once, November, December hits, then everybody's inside, okay? While your students are here over the course of the next 4 years, there's going to be a lot more seating that's added, because we're going to be removing lockers, which no one uses, and we're going to be adding bench seating in various spots in this campus up here. So eventually, there will be a spot for all of your students to sit and eat. Right now, that's going to be a bit of a challenge, okay? A side note, the lunches were free for the last few years in COVID. That was from a USDA governmental program. That program has ceased. So lunches are no longer free for all students. If there is a financial need, we do have a free and reduced application. You can email me. I will send that to you, and then you fill that out and send it to the business office, okay? Otherwise, we have an online system where you can load up money onto your kid's account. They go and they scan it, and then they get their food, okay? Class lunch will end at 11:15. Block 3 begins at 11:15. Okay, so while it looks like they can stop lunch at 11:15 and then walk to class, they'll have a couple of warning bells that'll tell them you need to start moving to class. Okay, we're pretty hard on them if they're late to block 3 because they're coming from a free unstructured time. They should have plenty of time to figure it out. Okay, as to how to get there. We give them about a week or 2 to figure it out, and then after that, it's like, all right, it's game time now. You guys have been here long enough to figure out how to get to your classes on time. And if it turns out that sometimes it's a way to uncover an issue. Well, I'm coming from all the way over here to over there, and they didn't know they could leave early. Well, then we talk them through it because, as I said, they are young. They're still learning how some of this stuff works. What to bring on the very first day? So they should probably bring notebooks and notepads, something to take notes on, all right? They should definitely bring their charged Chromebook with them, all right? Charged, very important. Pens or pencils, something to write with. Each teacher may have their specific instructions for what they want. You guys have seen your kids' schedules. You can email the teachers. I believe there's a function in Aspen for you to be able to email all your kids' teachers and ask if there's anything for supplies that they particularly need. So you can ask the teachers. The teachers may tell the kids on day 1 what they need. Lunch, if they're bringing lunch money or their ID, okay? Again, we prefer it to go all digital, so that way they just scan their ID and take their lunch. We don't have to worry about them with the paper money and that sort of stuff. Their IDs, which they're going to get the very first day, they should know their ID number, but they'll get their IDs the very first day, and then they can scan those. In absence of the ID, they can tell the ID number, which they can find on Aspen. Optional mask if they want one. Some folks will be wearing them, okay? I don't want them to be shocked. And if they feel comfortable wearing them, they are more than welcome to wear them, right? Some of their teachers are going to be wearing them. Some of their classmates are going to be wearing them. So yeah, masking is still an option for anyone who feels more comfortable wearing a mask. So our attendance policy, real quick. If your student is going to be home for any reason, they did not come to school, please call the freshman house office, and I believe that phone number is inaccurate. I don't know if I changed that to Robin's number, so I apologize. I will Google Robin's number here real quick, and I will tell you what that is. I think she's 7207, Robin's number. Call the freshman house office. As I said, I'll look that up real quick, to report the absence. You can send in a note upon their return, okay? But if they're absent that day and you don't call us, we're calling you. Right? We're going to call you to find out where your student is because we want to know what's going on. We expect them to be here. We didn't hear from their parent or guardian. We're going to call to find out what's happening. We give them block 1 to get here. If they're marked absent block 1 and block 2, we're calling you to find out what's going on. Okay? They're expected, if they're not here on time in block 1, to come into the house office over here and check in with Robin. So that way we know they're here. They shouldn't just go straight to their block 2 classes. So if they come in late for any reason, they should come and check in, so that we know that they came into the building and we know they're here now, okay? Otherwise, we find out they're there in block 2, and then we call them down to say, where were you block 1? It just saves time if they come in here and they tell us what's going on. When they come back, you can give us a doctor's note, okay, or a parent note. That's fine, too. One thing that has created confusion, our attendance policy is extraordinarily restrictive. We do not, up front, excuse doctor's notes, okay? We will wait until your child has accumulated enough absences, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, to go into what we call loss of credit. And then we will go back and we will look at the notes at that point in time. So please send the notes in. We'll keep them on file. And then should your child accumulate a certain number of absences, it's 5 for a half-year course, and it's 10 for a full-year course. Okay? If they accumulate those number of absences, then we're going to go in and we're going to look at the doctor's notes and see what's there and see what we can excuse and what we can't. Okay, that's the way our attendance policy works right now. On our student handbook, you can see our attendance policy there and the number of absences that are allowable. The state law requires that your student attend class for 90% of the class meetings. All right? So once they've exceeded that 10% threshold, that's when they'll go into loss of credit. You get a warning letter from my office that'll come out when they accumulate half the number of absences. So with a half-year course, you'll get it at 3, or 2.5, I believe it is. At the full-year course, you'll get it at 5. Okay? If they go into loss of credit, you'll get another letter. It'll have a purple form in it. It's a loss of credit appeal form. Please fill that out and return it. Hopefully, this is just information that's going in one ear and out the other, and you never have to worry about this stuff. That would be great, right? Your kids all come to school. We don't have a problem. I don't have to call you, anything like that. Everything's fine, okay? But what you see up there, the two that you'll want to look at, the two you'll want to know about are the 45 session and the 90 session. If you took a picture of this, those are the most frequent ones. Occasionally, you'll have a class that meets twice a day, like an AP Science class. Sometimes we'll meet, I think, twice a day, and they might get 180 sessions. Is that A and B day? Okay, so they'll meet A and B day instead of twice a day. They'll meet both days, so they'll get the 180 sessions. In that instance, the absence threshold is a little bit different. That's rare. We'll cross that bridge with you guys when we have to and when it comes to it. It is 7207. Oh, look at that. Okay, so the phone number should be 7207, right? That's Robin's phone number. So I'll go back to it for a second. 908-284-7207. Okay? So that's the number you want to call if your kid's going to be absent. All right. Tomorrow, for drop-off, here's what we're going to ask you to do. This is a map of our campus that you're looking at right here. The arrow towards the top right-hand side of the screen. That's where you'll come in off of 31. That's where you came in today. That's our fountain entrance, okay? You'll come in and you'll drive straight towards our bus lot. So you'll drive straight back. Don't come up by the fountain, okay? Drive straight back towards our bus lot. One of our DRAs will be standing there. His name is Mr. Joyce. He's a very nice man. He will direct you down what we call our inner roadway, okay? You're going to follow that curvy path along our inner roadway. You're going to come to a spot where that X is. I'll be standing there along with other people. That's where you're going to drop your kids off. They're going to come in through our mid-campus entrance because that area right there is where the buses drop them off in the morning. The buses just come the opposite way. Okay? So the buses will drop them off there in the morning, and that's the way they're going to enter the school on a regular day. So that's why we're trying to do this, right? So you'll come in off the fountain lot. If you come down 31, I'll tell you there's a second entrance that you can use. I'll tell you that in a second. And then after you drop your kid off, we're going to ask that you follow the inner roadway out, okay? We'll have folks there to direct you down. You're basically going to take a right and go down and out on Junction Road is where you'll go. You go out past the field house, and you'll be out there on Junction Road, okay? The other option, you may drop off in the IMC, and that's the little triangle-looking arrows at the bottom there, okay? So you can come in off of Junction Road, up by the tennis courts. We ask that you pull up to the stop sign area that's over there, and you'll be directed by some of our staff members. We're going to try to line up about 8 or 9 cars. You'll drop your kids off there, and then we're asking you to go straight across and follow the big circle in the IMC, okay? So the lot's like a big circle. We're asking you to follow the big circle all the way out, okay? Don't try to take that left and then cut everybody off. You're going to mess up my traffic flow, all right? So try to go all the way around. Yes, sir? They can come in the main entrance here. We will have folks over here. And on a regular school day, they can definitely enter over here. For tomorrow, more staff is going to be on that inner roadway area. But if they are walking, there will be somebody up here to greet them. We'll have security up here as well to tell them where to go. And that's part of the reason why I hung those signs up there so they knew which room to go to as well. So this entrance is available. We're just asking not to have the parents come and drive and drop them off up here because then that's going to get really jammed up. So that's the drop-off plan for tomorrow. Okay. Now, Mr. Brandt had mentioned that's what I want you to do in a school day. You can't do that on a regular school day. Okay. We actually close off the inner roadway because that's where our buses are coming up. And if you try to get down there while our buses are coming up, I don't even want to think about what that's going to be like. So you would come up the fountain lot, drop at the front, and then go out. Or you'd come in the Commons lot and drop and then go out. Or you'd come in the IMC lot and drop and then go out. That's on a regular school day. But again, put them on the bus, you don't have to worry about any of that. It's a win-win. All right, so this is our traffic flow for mid-campus. I just went over that for you. You'll come down past the bus lot. You'll drop them off right where I am. I'll be waving. There'll probably be a bunch of people stopped. You can send your kids out. They'll walk towards me. I'll send them up into mid-campus and send them to their alpha homerooms. This is the traffic flow for our IMC. So again, come up along the tennis court side. You'll pull up. You'll be taken to a certain point. There'll be somebody there telling you to stop. You'll have your kids disembark from the car and then go all the way around and come back out, okay? Our pickup locations, okay? Here's where you can tell your kids to meet you. The fountain lot, which is right out here. Okay, this will be at like 12:30, 12:45 tomorrow after they've gone through and walked their schedule. The fountain lot, which is right out here, okay? The IMC lot. If you drop them off in the IMC lot, tell them you'll pick them up in the IMC lot. That's the one that's just off of Junction Road, okay? The other two spots that you can pick them up, there's the Commons lot. That's the one that's right across from Costco. And then there's the Fieldhouse lot, which is the big one where the gyms are, all right, on the 11-12 campus. Those are both off of Junction Road. So there's 3 pickup spots off of Junction Road, the IMC, the Commons lot, and then the Fieldhouse lot. And that's as you're coming up Junction Road going towards Costco, that's how you'll hit them. So if you come off 31 and take a right, first is Commons, then is, first is IMC, then is Commons, then is Fieldhouse, okay? That's where how you'll see them. Right? If you see the sign for Polytech, you've gone too far, go into Costco, turn around, and come back. All right, a couple of things that we want to talk about. Social media and the cell phones. I'm trying not to editorialize on social media. I know it has its helpful sides to it. Honestly, kids get into more difficulty being on social media at school than almost any other activity that they're involved in. I'll be perfectly frank. If you can have a conversation with your kids about how they use their social media, that would be really, really helpful to us. The passing of, text messages that are potentially derogatory can lead to harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And then we end up with a deeper investigation, and we can confiscate phones, and we can dig into phones, and it just goes very far down rabbit holes. The sharing of images that are inappropriate. Again, have a very frank conversation with your students about their online presence and about their social media if you haven't yet, okay? Because I don't think the first time you want to have that conversation is when you're in my office with your child and Sergeant Nemeth. Because some of these things do get so high that they do get referred to the prosecutor's office. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to be honest with you, okay? Have a very strong conversation with them about how they use their social media and what they do on their social media. Another thing, the social media is one of the things that's causing kids to disconnect from each other, is what we're finding. Kids have, I don't know if it was when the pandemic happened, I don't know what happened there, but the kids have been so locked into screens, so much so that they're sort of missing what's going on around them. And to that end, we're moving towards a different approach with our cell phones. Okay, so here's what we're asking. Well, actually, we're not asking. Here's what we're telling. Phones should be put away during class time. Your kids have 80-minute class blocks, 4 of them. All right? During those 80-minute class blocks, we are telling them to put their phones in their backpacks. If you look at our schedule, you will know the times when your students are unable to look at their phones. If you have an emergency, call the house office. We'll get your kid. You don't have to tell us what's going on. You just say, I need to speak to my child. We will find them, we will pull them out of class, we will bring them up, and we will have the phone call there. If it is difficult information, they are in a better spot in the house office to hear that information because they are surrounded by their counselors, me, the secretary, our principal. There are so many people there to help them, as opposed to if that information is delivered to them while they're sitting in a classroom just before a math test. Okay? They will be able to check their phones before and after school. They will be able to check their phones during lunch. They will be able to check their phones when they're passing back and forth between class, okay? So if you need to arrange a ride or something like that, your student may not be able to text back to you right away. That may happen, okay? But they should text you, when the passing time happens. Again, if you need to get in touch with your kid, if it's an emergency, call the house office. So that's going to be our new policy on cell phones. We're asking them to be put away and just kept away. While they're here, they can focus on learning, okay? What you see in front of you right now, This is another thing that could land your students in my office. If you're unfamiliar with these items, these are vaping devices. Various different kinds of vaping devices that you may run into. If you see any of these things in your kid's room and they tell you it's just a jump drive or a flash drive, that's not what that is. Okay? They look like them. They look like them. The one on the bottom right-hand corner, that's a charger for a vaping device. Okay? That does look like a jump drive, but it is not. Possession of any of these devices will lead to, at the very least, your kids being sent out for a screening by a doctor to make sure that they're safe, because we don't know what's in these things. Some of these things can be tampered with, okay? A couple of the ones that look like the boxes with the cartridges in them, those are the types of vapes that you get THC oils in and things like that, okay? So if you find one like that at home, you might want to let us know what's going on too, because we have the resources here from the counseling perspective to be able to help you out with that, okay? It's not necessarily disciplinary if it's happening at home, okay? But let us know what's going on so that way we can help you out. Wrinkle on this is the medical marijuana stuff. Email me, make an appointment, come see me. I'll talk you through kind of how that would work if you have a student who has a medical marijuana card, because we have to treat it the same way we would treat any other medication. And there's wrinkles to that. It doesn't apply to everybody, okay? Couple of things to remember. So complete all of your forms on Aspen if you can. Print them out, bring them back in. We need the physical form by the 30th. If I don't have the physical form by the 30th, I have to start calling you and bothering you and make sure you've turned in your physical form. We may have to exclude your kid from coming to school because the law says we have to have a new updated physical on them by September 30th. Same thing with proof of residency. I need that proof of residency. If I don't get it, I'm going to be calling you. I'm going to be bothering you. I'm going to be asking you to please provide your proof of residency. If we don't have proof of residency, I have to exclude your kids from coming to school. I don't want to do that to any of them. As I said, I'm really looking forward to working with all of them. The Chromebook Insurance, please fill that out. I would strongly encourage you to get it. I know you think your kids are the most responsible people on the planet. I get it. But I've had kids who carry that $250 Chromebook replacement fee all the way to graduation, and then I have to say, you got to pay me $250 now or you're not graduating. If you have the Chromebook Insurance for the $30, you get a brand new Chromebook. You don't have to pay for it. Thing to remember about that, every time you get a new Chromebook, you need to get the insurance again. The insurance is only good for the one Chromebook, okay? It's not an in perpetuity thing. So if your kid ever gets a new Chromebook through the school, get the insurance again, okay? All right, very good. Last couple things, we went over the drop-off and pickup procedures for tomorrow. Remember, if you're coming off at 31 into the fountain lot, you'll come down to the mid-campus area. There'll be people there directing you. IMC, it's a big circle, right? Pickup tomorrow, you got your 4 areas. You got the fountain lot here off of 31, then you got the IMC, you got the Commons lot, and you've got the field house lot. Those are your areas for pickup. Make sure your kids know which bus number they have. Again, have them take a picture of it. Have them put it in their notes. Make sure they have it somewhere. That's going to be vital information for them getting their bus on the first day of school. And lastly, we have the boxes available for form drop-off just outside of the auditorium. And that's the last thing I had. So thank you all very much for coming out. Really looking forward to this. Have a good night.